Hey, how you doing, guys? This is Matt Mance here at the College of New Jersey's Lions Television Studio, and here today we have a singer-songwriter from Brooklyn, New York, Kevin Devine. Thanks for coming out, Kevin. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I know you played last year at TC&J with Brand New, and what's it like coming back to TC&J? You know, especially the whole college atmosphere and playing these kinds of shows.
It's nice. This is you guys have a pretty campus here.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody that I came in and like drove around a little bit and saw, what is it, Lake
Sylvia,
Siva, something
Sylvia,
like that.
something like that.
Yeah.
I haven't a clue
All
either.
these two frozen over lakes. It's pretty though, and it's not far from home, so it's kind of nice, good way to spend a Friday. And the shows I've played here have been really fun and memorable for me. So it's cool. I think sometimes the only weird thing going back and playing college shows is the older I get, it's funny to feel like I'm more aligned with the professors than with the kids at a certain point. I'm like right at the point where I'm probably halfway between. So I think as I get a little older, I'm gonna just wind up applying for adjunct professorships at all these schools and then playing there. But I really like it. It reminds me of good times in my own life too.
Yeah.
So.
It just must be kind of weird, just kind of, like you're getting old, but all the kids are staying the same age.
And I am getting old. That's right. That's right. No, you feel like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused. They all stay the same age, but I keep getting older. But so yeah, but it's a pleasure. It's good to be
absolutely.
back.
Cool. So I know you're doing a lot of work with Andy Hull and the Boys from Manchester Orchestra with your project Bad Books. So you also recently announced that you're working on your 6th album. So it's like fill us in, like what kind of things you're up to. What can we expect in the next couple months? Next year or so.
The record is the new record is the focus for me right now. I'm about 10 songs in to that, and I'm really excited about it. I've never really done this much kind of pre-production for a record on my own, doing a lot of demoing at home before doing it with my friend Chris Bracco, who produces the records, and going into a studio. And so I feel like we're at the phase now where a lot of the ideas are getting hashed out, and the songs feel really like the next step, which is always what you want them to feel like, So I'm really excited about that. We're probably going to go in and record in February. And between now and then, I have a couple of shows next weekend in Jersey and Connecticut for Make the Clocks Move and Split the Country, Split the Street reissues. They were out of print and they're coming back out. So playing with the band who played on those records and playing some old songs, it'll be fun. And then Bad Books is doing 2 shows on the West Coast in January, LA and San Francisco. And then that will probably quiet down while Manchester kind of rolls out its next record and I work on mine. So, but it's been kind of nice since August. It's been I'm on tour like 6 or 7 months or more a year, and I've actually been able to have some kind of quiet time at home and doing short trips here and there, but actually being able to be around my family and friends and write this record but be able to be home in Brooklyn, which is really nice. So that's kind of where things are at right now.
Absolutely. You got any big plans for the holidays? Just.
Not yet. I mean, I think my family's in Middletown. My brother and my sister lives in Aberdeen, and they have like the kids and the houses. So rather than cram them all into my 3-room apartment in Brooklyn, I think we're probably going to end up in central New Jersey for Christmas, and then up to Boston for the weekend. My girlfriend's family's up there.
Awesome.
So that'll probably be the big holiday trip. And we have some time to make up there because we went up for Thanksgiving and I got food poisoning and spent the whole weekend in bed. So I gotta like make it up to my girlfriend's family, not be like throwing up in a bedroom for 3 days.
Man.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
It's all right, man. I lived through it. I just wanted everyone to know about it.
Yeah.
Happy holidays. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what kind of things do you do to get psyched up before a show? To get ready and get in the zone kind of thing.
I just put on like all of the Ultimate Warriors wrestling matches from the WWF in the late 80s, especially his interviews with Mean Gene Okerlund, and I just like paint my face wail on my pecs, and then I go out and play folk music for people. You know, it seems like
both,
the
brother,
perfect formula.
man.
That's what you do too.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's.
Yeah. No,
I thought I was the only one. You know?
Dude, absolutely not.
Oh,
I think that though, in all seriousness, I'm more nervous than needing to get pumped up before I play. So it's more about calming down, like, and just trying to like be in a place where I get up there and I'm not. I still get very jittery.
Really?
Right before I play. Not every single time, but it's never like, all right, I guess I'll go play now. So, there's always a little jangle. So.
Like I know you play like maybe like hundreds of 200 shows a year or something. Like I mean you do this all the time, but it's still you still kind of get a little.
Which I take as a good sign. I mean, I have my friend who played in this band Kofax that was a Vagrant Records band in the early part of the decade, who brought me on my first long tour. Wonderful band, great people, but they kind of stopped playing, and because he kind of got sick of the touring side of it. And he'll come see me at shows, and he's like, yeah, it's funny, you actually still like playing. And I do. I still get really excited about, even in rehearsals or even in being alone in a recording studio, coming up with the harmony idea or what the chord change is going to be. I still feel the same way about that part of it as I did when I was 12 or whatever. But there's other parts of it that you get a little more maybe calloused to, or like anything you do, if you do it enough times, it stops being novel, even if it's the coolest thing in the world. But I really do still like playing them, and I think that's part of, you know, you're getting up in front of people and doing something that's kind of a little vulnerable, and there's an expectation that they want to be entertained, and so I don't know, sometimes you get a little like shaky, you know, but I think that's a good thing. I think not every time, like I said, there's some times where it's like, you know, time to make the donuts.
Just get up and just do it.
Right, but other times it's like, you know, oh my God, what am I doing? Like you think you don't know how to do anything, and then you remember how to. So.
Yeah. Right. Cool. So I know some of your biggest influences was like people like Elliott Smith, Bob Dylan, Neutral Milk, Nirvana. So every time you get up on a stage with your guitar, you sit down in the studio with a pen and paper. Is there anyone in mind that you just think like what would that person do, or what would
Not as much I think it's more unconscious in the part where you're writing. I like it comes through more in like a chord change, and you're like, oh, that's kind of like a Neil Young chord change. And I think that stuff comes from listening to music over and over again, or a melodic movement in a song that you're like, oh, that's kind of what would be in a Pixies song or whatever, or an arrangement idea. And sometimes when you're especially writing stuff that's a little more like some of the songs I write that skew a little towards, I don't think I could ever say anything I wrote is like country music, but there's little elements of some country and folk that sneak in, old country, and you do a little run that you're like, that's like, it's a country music run, what's a but I think more like that when I'm thinking about how you conduct yourself in your affairs in your career. There's certain people who I think have been really exemplary in how they handled themselves and how they treated other people and how they managed to try to continue growing and building their music and playing in front of as many people as possible without kind of acting like a jerk. And I think about that more in terms of like those specific people. I think about Elliott Smith as a model for how you can be kind of, before what happened with in the end of his life anyway, how you can kind of be a humble and kind of gentle person, but also want to grow. He wanted to play in front of as many people as he could play in front of, but he didn't want to tap dance to make that happen. And I think about a lot of people like that, people like Ian MacKaye from Fugazi, a lot of like punk rock bands that had some sense of right and wrong, whatever that means, about how they dealt with their career. But when it comes to the writing part, it's just more kind of like, I think it's more now like ingrained than like, well, what would Kurt Cobain do in this song? I think it's just kind of like, I've been listening to that band for 18 years now. So certain times it sneaks in. Well, you probably step on the distortion pedal and start yelling. Okay.
Like, yeah,
You know.
all the influences kind of like just start running like through you kind
Right,
of thing.
and hopefully you synthesize them enough to come up with something that's your own,
Yeah, absolutely.
which isn't always easy to do, but it's nice when it happens.
I think you're doing a good job with
Well,
that. So,
I appreciate it. Sometimes more than others, but thank you.